the founder of the Run to Montreal Ultra Relay Race. And we're going to have a little chat about motivation, social distancing, confinement, and the unique perspective that Darren has as a coach. Darren, how you doing?
Good, Alistair. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been snowing today, so I was running with wet and cold feet, but that's springtime in Quebec.
Yeah, no kidding. And we've avoided the snow here, thankfully.
Good stuff. And so we're going to have a little chat today, sort of, as I said, about how everyone's adjusting to this social confinement, whether we've got no access to the gym anymore, the swimming pool, the triathletes who are being forced to do some Zwifting in their basement, and the runners who are totally adjusting their schedule. And especially with the recent news that any group, any events, certainly here in Quebec, have all been cancelled until the end of August. I think it's a similar story over in Ontario. And so that kind of leaves a lot of people with sort of running objectives, race objectives, just out in nowhere, kind of feeling a void. So, I mean, first of all, how are you dealing with things? And then we'll talk about how you're working with your athletes.
I'm doing pretty well. I've been running every day. I had a pretty hefty March in terms of mileage. I was doing 140, 150 kilometers a week in that range for March. So that was pretty well. I mean, I know this thing sort of hit at the beginning of March for us, but yeah, so I kept my motivation through then. And, you know, for me, training is not just about races. I enjoy it, and it's a lifestyle for me. So.
Okay, but so you had nothing like a specific objective or anything, like a target for the spring, or sort of just keeping, you know, the fun alive?
Well, I sort of been slowly picking my mileage back up all year, like January, February. So March was really when I was going to, you know, hit the ground running, so to speak. And then sort of mid-April, getting close to now, start doing, or early April, start doing workouts and things like that. And then just, I hadn't really decided on what I was going to do. A few of my friends and I that we were going to do a couple of ultra relays over the summer and then gear up for Run to Montreal. And I probably would have tossed in a couple of like regular road races in there as well.
Yeah. And I guess for folks who don't know you that well, because a lot of our listeners will be here in Quebec, Run to Montreal is an awesome, not brutal, but certainly something interesting when it comes to an ultra relay. In November, teams of 6 to 8 folks will take from downtown Toronto right to the summit of Montreal in Montreal. How many kilometers is it?
650-ish.
650-ish. So it's like 2.5, 3 days of looping over, you and your friends taking sort of 3K, 8K, 10K rotations. And so basically it consists of you in an RV, basically like a tin of sardines, changing clothes, sweating it out, kind of stinking together. It's awesome fun. Sometimes when we did it last year, there were some cold moments, but honestly, you know, you watch the sunrise from one province to the other and things. It's a really good ambience, and Darren sticks on an awesome party for the end of the weekend. But anyway, back to your athletes and things. How are they adapting?
At first, people were sort of uncertain, so we just sort of kept to business as usual. You know, nobody really knew what was going to happen with races. Obviously, we do now. Most of them have all been canceled for the spring and early summer, at least. So it was business as usual. But I sort of encourage people also to stick to sort of think about running as a lifestyle. Like, why did you get involved with running in the first place? You know, so a good way to clear your head. Maybe use it to run commute if you can run to work. Run to get some groceries, you know, just different things like that. Just to sort of get out the door. And we sort of looked at sort of how to be a healthy runner during this too. We want to do the types of running or the type of training that will, you know, boost your immune system rather than deplete it. We don't really want to. I sort of caution my athletes from doing like super long, heavy, hard weeks if they hadn't been doing that already. And just giving them now, I've been transitioning them to shorter, more fun workouts, but keeping up, you know, pretty close to their usual mileage so that they're healthy and strong, but not really in any sort of state where they're worried about their immune system just from training.
Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, from this end, the same sort of deal. A little bit less on the super long runs where you kind of come back exhausted and spend the afternoon on the couch. And the same with the super high intensity interval sessions, which are, sort of like 200 meters times 20, where you kind of like stagger back with aching muscles for the rest of the evening. Sort of just kind of stepping back from those two types of training, but still maintaining that kind of that volume and that sort of the decent fitness level. So when objectives start getting realigned, we can go in there in a good shape. Because what we don't want to do, what we shouldn't do, is find ourselves getting injured at this time of year, or certainly in this position. It makes no sense. We should be getting stronger, not pushing the boundary, which is where we risk getting injured.
Yeah, exactly. Totally agree with you. Nobody wants to be injured at this time of the year. I mean, running is one of the best ways to get out of the house safely, and while still maintaining social and physical distancing.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. So, and again, anybody who's lacked motivation in my circle, I will do some fun stuff. Like, let's go. I'll create a segment, and I give everybody a week to sort of get it. Here at Eastbound Brewing, where I'm spending my non-coaching and running time. We have a run club here, and we're talking about going and setting up an Easter egg hunt, but it would be cans of beer sort of all around our local running routes, and giving people some clues, and doing it on Easter Monday, which is when my club here runs.
I think I might drive to Toronto.
You should. Yeah, exactly. So that's what we've been talking about doing that. I've set up some strength challenges every Monday and Friday for people. But again, stay off the road in your car if you don't need to be. Get out and run. Like I said, run to work. That's what I do. I run to and from work every day. And if it's possible to do that, my girlfriend works at a Starbucks. If you can find a Starbucks that's actually open, find a Starbucks, get a coffee, wave to someone inside, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's it. And you make a good point. There are far less cars on the road. And I mean, I live out in the sticks a little bit, Albion in Bromont, and see a fraction of the number of cars, where normally you're kind of, just always keeping an eye out on the country roads, on the bends, on the corners. So it must be kind of nice in the city. You must have way less traffic and sort of, a bit more freshness in the air with less traffic out there.
Well, in Toronto, it's kind of similar to Montreal. It's not an island with a mountain, but there are trails in the middle of the city that you can hit. So you can do a lot of trail and that kind of thing. And we have something called the Bayview Extension here, which is a 1 mile long kind of highway with a bike and pedestrian path on the side of it. So it's a nice uphill 1 mile climb that connects from like Midtown to the north part of the city and stuff like that. So, and there's ravines and all kinds of stuff like that you can train in and run in. So that's really good for Toronto. It's actually a pretty good city to do that. So yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm guessing you're the champ on all of these Strava segments.
I'm up there, but every now and again I'll find that I'll get a notification that somebody's gone and taken it, and I'll find that it's somebody on a bike or whatever. But no, there's I have some that I've maintained the crown on for a while. But one of the fun ways I'm getting workouts in right now is to go and make my segments a little harder, or move my way up on some segments that I haven't gotten yet. So it's kind of fun to do that.
Yeah, and I guess it's little personal challenges. Again, we haven't got those race objectives, but these are much smaller objectives you can stick in the week itself, as opposed to having to taper and specify your training. It's about just giving in a little bit of extra effort in down this trail or down that road, or from one corner to the next. All I can think is, I'm in Toronto later on this year, so I have to scope out a few of your CRs.
Well, you see, that's why I'm training now. A lot of people who have lost motivation, I think, are going to find that maybe they'll wish they had been training a little bit harder during this time, or maintaining their mileage. But it's totally. I mean, these are scary times for a lot of people, so it's totally understandable that people have not put in as much maybe hard training in, and I get that. So that's why if you can have some fun with it, it's also the health. I would say it's one of the healthiest things you can do. Get out and run. You're strengthening your cardiovascular system, strengthening your lungs. You're not stuck in transit, on a TTC or Metro or an Uber, where you can possibly catch something. You're outside and clearing your mind. It's just such a healthy thing to do. And I think anybody who's picking up running, maybe don't go too fast too soon, too much too soon. And that's one of the programs that I've been working on with a couple of my colleagues, but to help newer runners or people that are like, oh, I have all this time, let's go running. So we're trying to provide options for that. But it is one of the healthiest things you can do right now.
I know. I think it's really a time to sort of just appreciate running itself, versus saying this is my first marathon, this is the PB I want, this is the new distance I'm going for. The fact is, you can get out, appreciate the weather, appreciate sort of maybe a little bit more quiet in the city and things. And it's an awesome way to, as you say, improve your cardiovascular system, your lungs, stay
But
healthy,
also
and straight from your front
mental
door.
health. Yeah,
Yeah.
mental health too.
Yeah.
It helps with anxiety for a lot of people. So it's funny.
That's
A lot of
cool.
people come to me with anxiety, and they're like, "I know that running will help. Can you help me with this?" And as soon as we get, I help get them on the right track, and it's just helping newer runners become accountable, and maybe they're anxious with family or job or money or health or whatever, right? Especially these days, just doing something that little bit extra for yourself to be at peace will help too.
Yep. And I think that is awesome advice. So before we round up, did you, it's the kind of bonus question I'm putting out there, any new hobbies, any new sort of talents you've found yourself with in this sort of, the time with yourself?
Well, I can tell you I'm not baking bread. Like we were talking about before. No, I've just been selling a lot of beer. It's unbelievable. I do sales for a local brewing company here in Toronto called Eastbound Brewing, and we embrace running. We have our run club and stuff like that as well. But we have been set like we may run out of beer this weekend, and we're brewing.
That is a sad thing, but that is also a good thing in the sense that I think we share a very profound philosophy where, a good run is rewarded with a good beer afterwards.
We do sell a lot of healthy food for takeout as well. So
yeah,
there you go. It's takeout and delivery.
Cool. Excellent, Darren. I appreciate your time. I wish you and all of your athletes a good time. And yeah, we may not have a race anytime soon, but we should be in Toronto together in November, ready for Run to Montreal. And again, we'll be enjoying a beer at the end of that one as well.
Awesome. All right. Thanks a lot, Alistair.
Hey, good stuff, Darren. Thanks so much.